Hi.
Welcome to Quick Bits. Well, this marks the first episode of a new format I'm going to try out. It's basically going to be more of a speaking piece where I can just basically shoot off the top of my head a couple of thoughts of whatever I'm currently playing, or, just of something I've discovered or I'd like to share with you guys. So over the weekend I tried out a new sandbox sort of survival exploration sort of game. These things are dime a dozen now. They're coming out all the time, most notably things like aaah, Rust. Whereas those seem to focus more on sort of survival mechanics, and whereas things like Minecraft have been incredibly successful, is more sort of a play sandbox sort of environment where you just get to mess around and it's a bit more casual. So I think GRAV definitely falls more into the sort of casual category. I had a lot of fun with it. I actually managed to pick it up off the Humble Bundle store for sort of paltry $6, and in which case I ended up buying a couple of copies for my cousins as well. I wasn't sure what to expect. I was kind of figuring maybe I just busted out a bunch of cash for nothing and I might be severely disappointed. But I'm glad I wasn't. Playing it for a couple of hours, I was like, alright, took me a little while to familiarize myself. Initially thrown off a little bit by the UI. It seemed pretty lackluster, but I understand alpha and everything else. These things will improve over time. But what is there is fairly functional. I mean, I managed to do whatever I needed to do. Sometimes a little buggy. The immediate distinction I can make to it reminded me a lot of like a Mr. 3D Terraria. Maybe not as much content, but it had a great sense of. It has a great sense of sort of exploration and risk reward, where you in a lot of these games you kind of wander out and you just kind of end up wandering, and then there's some sort of environmental hazard or creature or something that will just kill you. I find they never necessarily always capture that same sort of level of risk and reward. Now GRAV basically falls more into the sort of sci-fi sort of planetary exploration category. The first couple of tiers are quite laughable almost, making your character seem pretty ridiculous. So the game has this pretty much pervasive sort of strange sense of humor, which is quite evident in all of the emotes, which are incredibly comical and generally have an audio bite attached to it that just over embellishes those sort of like strange quirks. There's also a really wide array of dance emotes, which most people don't really care for, but I quite enjoy these things in games. I think it sort of emphasizes sort of key silly moments with your friends, especially when it's such a social engagement. And the sound design in this game is incredible too. I mean, the sound effects, the weapons sound incredibly punchy. And the soundtrack too, I wasn't expecting the music to be great, but it was actually fantastic. I find myself, particularly in the one dungeon that we entered, I just sat back and just listened to the ambient track of the dungeon. It was a very sort of EDM sort of track, and I didn't think it would necessarily work, but it did. It felt great. I mean, it just sort of fits the strange atmosphere that this game sort of set up. The game also looks really pretty. Simple texturing and just sort of very flat colors and just vibrant, like a very rich color palette. Since all the planets are procedurally generated, it really makes for some incredible looking planets. And it also goes for the creatures too. They also look just vibrant and striking and have very interesting silhouettes. Definitely something I'd like to see in future updates is probably a little bit more refinement in the UI, as I mentioned earlier. As well as a couple of more, graphic settings in the options. Those are very sort of rudimentary at the moment. All in all, I really enjoyed this game. I think I must have spent at least 10 hours of the course of the weekend on my privately sort of hosted server with my cousins. And I tried to get a couple other friends to join in, but they didn't seem that keen at the moment. I think, as well, most people are sort of skeptical of these things, but this, I had a lot of fun. And I really hope to see more. I hope to see more content and more diverse planets to explore and just general refinement. Something also on the server side of things that I found a little bit fiddly was, the server tools also are sparse. And there seem to be some third-party tools, but in terms of server commands and being able to very easily back up and protect your sort of server and manage it, very lacking. It's still kind of confusing. When shutting it down, I'm not sure if it's working or not, and I'm just kind of praying that nothing corrupts. And I think that basically covers all I have to say about GRAV for the moment. I definitely would like to post more videos on this, and if anyone's really interested in seeing anything else more or anything specific, let me know. Also things specifically with large content updates, I'll definitely, make a passing mention of it, probably in another quick bit episode. And that now sort of brings me onto the latter part of the video. I realize now the thumbnail seems like it could be a little bit misleading, but I wasn't aware of the NDA for the Vermintide beta. So unfortunately I can't really say anything about that just yet. I have been told though that the beta NDA would be lifting sometime in the future, so that could be something I could talk about then. But for now, I gotta be mum's the word, like I don't want to stir any pots anywhere, so it's best not to. And that I think concludes the first episode of Quick Bits. I hope anyone likes this. If there's a way I can improve this sort of format, or any suggestions and comments are always welcome. And yeah, so far people that have been commenting and watching and being very positive, I really appreciate that. Cool. See you later.